Well, that's a more properly done rafter than the little test one that I had made. The problem is everything that I did was based on that test one, and I knew that it was incorrect, but I thought I might still just use it even though it's not proper. And like, the reason it isn't proper is because the bird's mouth is too deep. Personally, I think it's still usable. It's maybe about halfway through the board. It's not ideal. I would much rather use something properly done. I just wanted to see how it lined up. And I don't really care so much that it doesn't line up with these. I could always cut new ones and put in. But it doesn't line up with the plywood here. I think it probably would on this side. I can take it over there and try it because that's cut a little bit taller. But of course, this was the first attempt at doing this wall, and it's got a glaring error. And I've got to figure out what I want to do. I either just gonna cut the bird's mouth deeper, make it similar to that one, and just say whatever, or I gotta figure out how to sort this issue out. So I've thought about it and did some measuring and checking, and I think I'm just gonna do the rafter properly with the new layout, or the new type of cut. And that will leave a gap here, especially here in the middle. It's, I don't know, this cut's not straight or something. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not straight. So like right around here in the middle, it's like a, I don't know, maybe 3/8 of an inch up to 1/2 an inch of a gap. But I do plan to put trim up, so that and maybe some foam sealer or something. I just think it'd be better probably to cut the rafters more properly. And, you know, I checked the other wall and it's fine over there. So I'm going to consider this wall the problem, not the rafter. And I guess just do the rafters the best way I can and see if I can rectify this somehow. Alright, so there's our rafters, or one rafter and the others are marked from the template. And we just gotta start cutting. Well, there's all of our rafters cut, I'm sure unevenly, not perfectly, but hopefully good enough. I think that's what I like to call my cuts. You know, I don't like to get perfect cuts, I like to get hopeful cuts. Anyway, light's fading. I'm about done for the day, so what I'm gonna try to do, I'm either gonna set these just inside here, or I'm actually gonna try to wrestle them up to the top. So I'll be good to go next time. But besides that, I think we're going to call it. So maybe next time we'll actually be installing these things. So I've been up here for a little while today, scouting out the bits that I cut off from before. And I cut them down, patched them back in place, nailed onto the rafter here so that gap is covered. Obviously there's still a little bit of a gap there and it will need to be sealed up and stuff, but at least it's not the whole, you know, 1/2 inch almost, whatever that it was. So with that taken care of, I'm going to reinforce my cripples. I figured what I'm going to do is just leave these as is and then add 2 or 3 like this to support the rafter here. I figured that would probably be good enough. I mean, it's not that big of a span and whatnot. So if I can at least support the middle here, maybe there or something like that. These up top are pretty close to touching, so if I put one here, maybe here and here, or just there and there, we'll see how it goes. On both sides, then maybe it'll be supported well enough. And I don't know, that's what I'm thinking, that's what I might try to do. Alright, so all the rafters are nailed in. I'm going to put some like hurricane ties on it and screw them in. And then they should be good. I don't know, you know, I was trying to use like a stick to go in between them to set the distances, which is 2 feet on center. But that seemed to not be lining up with my marks for whatever reason. Maybe I cut the board wrong, so I just went back and used the measuring tape. So as far as I can tell, these are all pretty much 2 feet on center. Maybe a little bit off here and there, but hopefully close enough, as is the theme. So I guess now I'm going to try to put the hurricane ties on, and I gotta nail the new little cripples, and then we'll be, I need to probably put blocking in between all these, but I don't think I'll get to that today. So today's agenda is probably just going to be nailing these in and putting the hurricane ties on. Alright, so this is what we got. This side looks a little wonky. I might try to fix it up a little bit, but there's 2 nails in the base and 1 going through the rafter down into it at the top. So that's pretty much how I nailed those in. And now we're going to move on to putting the hurricane ties on. Who you barking at? Shut up. Oh, I thought he listened for a second. There we go. Alright, so for now I put just 3 in each, but I might come back and do a 4th. I don't know if I'll do all 5. That just seems kind of unnecessary to me. So I at least do a 4th one there, and then maybe another one here. I'm not sure, but there it is. Now I just have to do that at least, how many more times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 9 more times. Why does that matter? I don't know. Well, there we go. I got them all in place, all with 3 screws. I kind of went into this triangular pattern here. Basically the same thing on each one. And I even managed to get them on the ends in a rather, maybe somewhat precarious way, but they're on there. Maybe it's better than nothing. So yeah. That one's like the most useless thing ever, but whatever, it's there. Well, I think that's gonna do it for today. Kind of got a little bit done early today. I could do more, I don't know, I'm kind of tired. I don't feel like it. We do have a little issue here. I think I mentioned it earlier. Like a couple of these, like the gap, I didn't pull it all the way tight or something when I nailed them in. I got kind of preoccupied with the measurements because my board thing didn't work, so that kind of took my attention away from making sure I pulled them all the way up. But I think that's probably, what, 1/4 of an inch or something, so I'm hoping that a couple of these, I guess particularly in the middle, having that little bit of extra gap won't be that big of a deal. Maybe we'll find out when we go to put the strapping on. But yeah, so I guess basically, I think I said this earlier as well, but I think basically all I have to do is put the blocking in between here and start putting the strapping on. From my understanding, there's 2 different ways you can do it. You can actually try to cut the block like with the angle here and like put it in straight up and down. If I can avoid that, I'm gonna, because I've just had enough of trying to cut angles. So the other method is you can actually like lean it so that it becomes flush with the top of this, and that's what I intend to try and do. So we'll see how things go, but yeah, I gotta take measurements and cut those blocks out, and I'm dreading it. Maybe next time will be a better day for that, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel good about myself and like what I can do, and other times I feel like I won't be able to do it, so I don't know. Hopefully next time I'll have a confident cut day and be able to get it done right. But we'll see when it all comes together, if it all comes together. Welcome back to another day on the build. I went ahead and got my blocking put in. I don't know if this is too much of an angle or whatever, but that's how it worked to flush out the top. And up there it's obviously not nearly as slanted. And basically what I did is, on the ends of course I have 2 nails that come in. Same for up there. Actually up there I did a little bit differently. So they have a few more nails on the high end. 1 more nail, something like that. Anyway, so I got diagonals coming in. 1 here, 1 over here, and then I put 1 in the center that goes down into the top plate. And they fit really snugly, except, you know, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 of them that were slightly loose. So like they were holding themselves in position. So I'm gonna say that's good enough with 2 nails in each end on the outside, and hope that that's enough. So basically each one has at least 3 nails in it, one on the ends and one in the middle. Same for up there, except for up there I did them in sequence, so I was able to put 2 nails in the ends of each one and then one diagonal. A lot of information for no reason. So now I think we're okay to begin seeing how our strapping will go on. Hello. So what we've got here, as far as I can tell, trying to check my math and make sure I'm right on everything. I know my measurements off. We're probably not 100% square. Some of the walls are leaning a bit, things like that. So what I'm trying to do is get the most effective compromise that I can get. And what we're going to have, theoretically, is, except for the back here because I left the boards long, so we're going to have a longer overhang that way, but on the sides and the front we're supposed to have about 1 foot overhang. And from what I recall reading about the metal is you want it to overhang about 1 inch or 2 inches off of your wood, I think. So I'm going for 2 inches. So that gives us, for a 12-foot building, we should have 14 feet in length of roof or metal. And if I want 2 inches of overhang off of that wood, off the strapping, then I take 4 inches off of that, meaning each strip is going to meet on this rafter, and that means they need to be 82 inches each. 82 inches is 164 inches, times 2 is 164 inches, which is 13 inches and 13 feet and 8 inches, I think. I'm going to double check my math there. But the theory here is that even if I'm off, as long as we meet on this center rafter and we're 82 inches out both ways, then the ends may not line up perfectly, but we should have what we need to fasten the roofing down. So in case you're not aware, I've never done this before, and I'm kind of like thinking and trying to figure this out on the fly. And you know, there's been some times where I realized later what I should have done to correct a problem that I encountered, and I just didn't think of it while I was here. So I'm trying my best to avoid that, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I'm trying to keep the crowns facing up, I guess. They're not lining up perfectly with the ends of the rafters, so even if it's off, hopefully it'll be consistently off. Just tacking for the moment to make sure we've got everything lined up. So I took a second to go ahead and remeasure and check this, and basically this is our center rafter, but our 6 foot mark is pretty much right here on this edge of it, up here, and then down there I think I couldn't see it the best the way I was measuring, but it's closer to being like 6 foot on center, I think. What I guess I'm gonna try to do, and it's gonna look bad I guess, because I just don't think I have it in me to try and like do custom measurements for each thing and try to get it all lined up and flush and right. So what I was thinking is if I can just use this center as it's supposed to be, but it's not, then when I go to put the metal on, I think since we are an inch, half an inch, 3/4 of an inch, somewhere in there off up here as far as I can tell, then it might be better to base it such that I'm around 2 inches off on the bottom with the metal, and I might have to be like around 3 inches off up top in order to make sure that the metal roofing is running straight technically. I guess I'm just going to try to get moving with the strapping, and you know, I'm sure it'll end up looking bad, but we're just going to try and see if we can get things moving. I can already tell it's not going to line up over here. The rafters are going to be sticking out a bit out from under the strapping. Whatever, I guess. I don't know. Alright, well it's off over here now, but overall I think it's an improvement, so we'll just let it be, and it's split and everything. I think these nails might be too big for these 1x4s, so I'm going to switch to my smaller ones. Anyway, this is what we're dealing with. Here's our problem board here. Sticking over a bit. But it looks relatively straight now. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, because my rafters probably aren't straight. So that was probably all for nothing, and it'll end up being a bad thing in the end, but hopefully it's okay. Alright, so I just got to do that a bunch more times, and maybe we'll have this fully strapped and ready to put metal on. And here we are. I got each one 2 nails per board in each rafter. They're spaced about 2 feet apart, so we have 2-inch on center rafters, 2-inch on center strapping. Approximately. We're almost ready to try and put the metal roof on. The only thing I'm trying to figure out what you're supposed to do about are these gaps at the end here. I don't think I'll be closing it in, like making any kind of, what do you call it, like soffit vent or whatever. So my original idea was actually just cut more of the strapping and nail it on all the edges here to close it in, but I'm kind of running out. No, I gotta think about it. So anyway, that's gonna do it for today. I've run out of time, getting tired. So yeah, I gotta figure out what to do about these edges. I think I've got about 4 more boards left, and that would be enough to cover, you know, the top and bottom. But in terms of the edges here, I'm not quite sure what I want to do. I either have to go buy more strapping, or I have to figure out something else to put there. Anyway, I'll give it some thought and get back on it as soon as I can.